Hello, everyone. This is Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Welcome to the Beyond Bitcoin Show. Today is December the 22nd, 2018. Strong hand. Unconfiscatable. Bitcoin is the next Bitcoin. Personal responsibility is the new counterculture. Deferral of gratification. Conviction. And yes, I've got some conviction. I post a new show here every single day that's about Bitcoin. But on Saturdays, we go beyond Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. We talk about current events, travel, health, where I am. But we also talk about cryptocurrency. So if you're confused, why are you talking about Bitcoin, Adam? It's the Beyond Bitcoin Show. That's why. But I'm going to start the show off today with some information that I just found out about. Well, that just got confirmed to me. It is everything I talk about in this video is linked to below. In Tel Aviv on January the 3rd. Now, I mentioned this before. There's a big Bitcoin party, and I'm going to be live streaming it. Hopefully, I'm going to be live streaming it. If all goes well. It's planned that I'm going to be live streaming it, God willing. So, but all over the world, they're going to be having Bitcoin parties celebrating the 10-year anniversary of Bitcoin. But they're giving away to this party a free ticket from anywhere in the world. They will fly you in here. If you retweet, I can't believe this. If you retweet the tweet that I have listed below, retweet to join the raffle for a free flight to Tel Aviv from anywhere in the world. Join us at the Bitcoin 10th anniversary blowout party, January 3rd, 2019 in Tel Aviv. Lightning themed extravaganza. Honey Badger celebration, rules and info. To qualify for the raffle, please retweet without extra text. So don't add our script detects only basic retweets. Sorry. We even coded a provable fair raffle based on future Bitcoin block hash, and that's at GitHub. That's linked to below. Some other party links are linked to below. Fiat tickets are $47. But wait a second. Bitcoin / Lightning Network tickets are $10/$6. So these dudes really value their wealth in Bitcoin, and they're really encouraging you to use the Lightning Network because it's only going to be $6 worth of Bitcoin if you use the Lightning Network, only $10 worth of Bitcoin if you send Bitcoin, and $47 if you send shekels. But that's what they. But anyway, link to that below. I'm happy to see they value their wealth in Bitcoin, and that if you retweet that, you'll have a chance to come to this party from anywhere in the world. I don't know all the specifics, but hey, they're doing it. So I just wanted to mention that. The Tel Aviv, I will be at the Tel Aviv Bitcoin Embassy tomorrow night. Maybe I'll do the show from there. There's a big community here, and they're going to have a big party. There are going to be parties all over the world, and everyone should be happy. The 10-year anniversary of Bitcoin is coming up on January the 3rd. So with that, we're going to move on from Bitcoin to crypto. Pound that like button. And by the way, at the end of this video, I'm going to talk about Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And I want you to stay tuned for that because that's going to be interesting. I want to say some things that you might not know and teach you on how not to get distracted in the year 2019, because Ruth Bader Ginsburg is going to have something to do with you getting distracted in 2019 and perhaps you getting a weak hand. Oh, what a foreshadow. Pound that like button. All right. So stay tuned to the end of the show. Well, here's an article. It says, study a third of Americans consider leaving the country to live abroad. All right. So it's it's not that interesting because this is just talk. I am happy to hear that of the Americans surveyed that a third of them have an open mind. They don't consider themselves trees rooted in one place. But it's easy to talk that talk and say that you're interested. But how many Americans really even leave America? You don't have to be a world traveler and be a permanent traveler like me and not have a real home anymore. That's asking a lot. And moving from America and living in another country, that's asking a lot. But just freaking leaving once in a while, getting a passport. I wonder how many people even have of those people, of the third of the people that said they're open-minded to moving, to leaving the country, to living abroad. I wonder how many of them even have passports now. So it is you can check out the link yourself, decide how serious that is. All these Europeans are laughing. Oh, you silly Americans! You never leave your country. And dude, there's if the thing about, I can understand maybe a fear. You shouldn't get caught up in that mainstream fear narrative that's out there. Leave it. Everything's danger. There's a government warning anywhere you go. And there's some places you should be careful. Obviously, going to Libya, you should be careful, or going to Somalia. But again, people think I'm in deadly danger in Israel and stuff when it's so safe here. Oh my God. And even other countries, Singapore, you're going to get caned in Singapore, Adam. No, if you act like a decent human being, you're going to be safe in most places, Western countries, at least on earth. But again, America is a diverse country. And if you travel around America, that's pretty darn good. If you've been to all 50 states, I think that's a big accomplishment. See the shining sea. I remember going to a wedding when I was much younger, with some friends. We were in our early 20s. That's not much. Well, whatever. No one knows how old I am. And pound that like button. So when we were in our early 20s, and my friend had never been to California before. He was a pretty smart guy. And he couldn't believe the hills and everything. And there is, America's a tremendous country, and there is some diversity to it. It's not just a bunch of liberal cities where you have to follow strict fitting in rules. I mean, it's still the wild, wild west out there. I drove around Montana and Idaho for a week. What was that, in 2015? I also drove around South Dakota and North Dakota for a week. These are things I recommend. If you work for yourself, you get to do things. I drove to Mount Rushmore, and Mount Rushmore, it's so much different to be there in person, to see the heads carved in. It's different. It's surreal when you're driving up there to the parking lot and you like see George Washington's head. I can't explain it. You have to see it for yourself. It's momentous at the same time, very just like, oh, that's normal. Or it's just there. It's just like all parking lots there. It's hard to explain. You got to see. Anyway, do as much traveling as you can, or at least get as much freedom as you can. Become self-employed, and so you can travel if you want to, and don't be tied down. You don't have to live in America for 365 days a year. You don't have to live in the same state. You can have two houses. You can just rent. You can go from one Airbnb to another, like I do. All right, I talked more about that than I had originally planned. And yeah, if anybody's got questions in the chat, there's a few of you in there right now. You can you can get my attention by doing the super chat, but I might be able to see. You can highlight my name too. I appreciate all the support. Whatever. People are saying I should do Patreon. I never did that. I'm starting to see these people did Patreon. I mean, people do raise a lot of money through that, but at this point, how can I be a part of this after all this censorship stuff they're doing, and how I'm just saying, yeah, just list your Bitcoin address. And that's what I do. I do just list my Bitcoin address. But I can see how people want to do Patreon, because it takes from people. Once people sign up for it, it takes those $2 or $5 from that person every month. If you're donating to somebody through Bitcoin, you got to be proactive and do it all the time. And to each his own. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm going to do these videos no matter what the setup is. No matter if you give me anything, or if you pound that like button, if you don't, I'm going to keep on doing these videos, because I know I'm giving out some value. It does come back to me. It's come back to me in many different ways. And there's a lot of love out there. And I thank you all for all the support you've given me through this. This has been quite the last 32 days, hasn't it? It's been quite a time in my life. All right. So speaking about, I want to talk about Baltimore, a place where I'm from. And I won't be back there until I'll be back there for Passover, definitely. But I was involved in politics at one time in Baltimore. And something that I was thinking about the other day, because there are not that many media. There's not that much. The politicians aren't watched very much there. And I had a blog. I had a small political blog, and I would make YouTube videos that like 60 people would watch or something. Who knows? Sometimes it would be more, sometimes it would be less. And just by starting this blog, and the politicians themselves, they contact you. They immediately contact you. Some of their representatives, some of them are so not used to being analyzed at all and being criticized at all that they will personally contact you or have their people contact you. And they all knew who I was, like, immediately. And there was some other reason. We won't get into all that. Why I knew some others for some other reasons. I'd been involved in political campaigns. Let's just say that. And again, politics is a waste of time. I'm just sharing this to show that in a big city like Baltimore, which is what now like the 26th most populated city in the United States. At one point, it was like the 5th or 6th back in the 1950s. But yeah, Baltimore's had its issues. For a big city like Baltimore, you wouldn't expect that politicians are going to just contact every single blogger, because they are just they're used to having that much of a clamp down on the media. They're used to the media just not paying any attention, of them getting away with everything. Some of these people have some horrible personal issues. But no, they just want to clamp down immediately. And they know that, hey, it's worth their while to talk to a blogger to shut them up, to say, hey, man, because the way they got it set up now with the status quo, they just keep getting elected over and over again. And again, there's like there's a guy in the House of Representatives in this represents a district in Baltimore who is bipolar. He is bipolar. I'm not going to say his name right now yet, but he's bipolar, and he just keeps getting elected over and over again, because that's how mindless the voters are, because they don't want to get informed. So when there is a source trying to inform the people, not the bipolar guy, he's so crazy he wouldn't try to even shut this thing down. But other people around him that see how it all works, they try to shut it down. And who knows? Most of the time, they're probably successful. They befriend people who say bad. Again, there's alternative media in Baltimore, but most of them take like advertisements for when these guys are running for office. They run their articles become infomercials. Donnie Glover does a bunch of infomercials, and he doesn't lie about it. He basically admits that he gets paid by some of these people. He writes good things about people who give him money, who advertise on his site, black or white. He's a black guy, and he totally favors black people. I mean, that's his big thing. But if a white guy pays him, he'll say nice things about the white guy too. Whatever. Pay. No, he's open about it. You got to give a guy like that credit. He was the guy when I was running by Donnie Glover once in Sandtown, which is a ghetto. It's a ghetto neighborhood in Baltimore. We won't get into the specifics. It's a bad shape. He'll admit that too. And he let his dog loose, and he said something like "sick him" or something like that to me. Imagine this. The guy. This is a blogger. When his fellow bloggers are running by, he tells his dog to. I don't remember the exact words. And then he told someone that I knew later he was joking. Whatever. Walking around with his ghetto dog on the freaking basketball court or wherever he was. I think he was on a basketball. Okay. Anyway, this is why you don't waste your time with Baltimore stuff, with local politics. It obviously can get really corrupt. But the interesting thing is, if you do want to start trouble, if you're a young person, you want to start trouble, start a blog in a city like Baltimore. You'll hear from them real quick. You will hear from people real quick, and they will try to, maybe they'll advertise on your blog, and you'll say nice. You won't say nice things about them, hopefully. All right. Maybe other people out there have similar stories in the what goes on in St. Louis, Detroit, stuff like that. It's probably the same thing. They don't get the Baltimore Sun doesn't critically cover anyone. Maybe they'll write bad things about the governor sometimes because he's a Republican. But otherwise, they just status quo. And then they wonder why are these politicians so corrupt, or why is Baltimore going in such a bad direction? There's no cover. Also, it's personal responsibility. A lot of people with personal responsibility, they moved out of Baltimore. They can't deal with it. They voted their feet. As I've said, it's gone with the 5th most populated city in the United States to 27th or something. Do you have a Zcash address I can donate to? No, I don't have a Zcash address. I don't. All my addresses are listed below the video. I never got into Zcash. I have Monero if you want to do the Monero. No, the answer is no. But hey, good luck to Zcash. Good luck to them. Seriously, people are trying to make crypto more private. Good luck to. I think it's a good. It's a good wish to make crypto more private. That's what all right. Monero is seems to me to be the most private of them all right now. If the government officials are worried about it, like there've been articles about, and I talked about on a recent show. Okay, enough. So people say when S hits the fan, SHTF. That's when S hits. I'm not gonna say what S is. I don't want to use that. I don't use bad language on this show. Anyway, there seems to be a bunch of people in crypto land that or not in internet land that just dream of this day when S hits the fan, so that they'll be able to, use all their gold to buy bread. I mean, this is such a wish. I mean, such a dream. I mean, the people who dream like that, that's despair. That's people who get off on despair. That's doom. That's not my attitude, as everyone knows. And I truly believe that there is not, I've just talked about how Baltimore is completely falling apart, completely corrupt in terms of politics, in terms of bloggers, in terms of whatever. But still, I don't think there's going to be a point when this country falls apart, when the United States falls apart, when there's going to be when we're going to be living like in prehistoric times again. We're going to have to trade it. It's not happening. Right now we have all this talk of socialism and censorship, and most people support it. Most people many people just whatever, let it happen. I don't care. Let them tax me. Let them tax me to pay for the corrupt politicians in Baltimore. Whatever, they're doing a good job. I mean, people are going to give up all of their freedom, almost all of their freedom, just to have a lifestyle. And the government will be able to keep on printing the welfare dollars, more and more inflating the welfare. I call it the welfare dollar. It's not the petrodollar. It's the welfare dollar. More and more people will be on welfare. People will be proud of it, to be on welfare. They won't care. They won't. Now, when the people who understand that what's going on, that this is going on, the 20%ers, you have a choice. You can either complain about it or dream about S hitting the fan when you're going to be able to use your gold, or you can make the most of it. You can opt into the Bitcoin overlay. You could travel around. You can you have the choice to get into sound money and to get into Bitcoin, to work for yourself, to not work for the government, to not be involved in politics, to ignore all this nonsense. People aren't going to start burning down the cities. Sure, there's always going to be there's going to be disobedience. There will be riots here and there, like they've always been through the years. But I think more and more people, again, they'll have their iPads, they'll have their Obama phones, they'll have their Trump phones, they'll have their whatever phone. I don't even care what the next freebie is going to be. People will protest to virtue signal. Again, it's your personal responsibility here. But no, the dream of using your gold for like currency and going back to like Daniel Boone days and stuff, no, it's not happening. Don't waste your time worrying about it or waiting. Especially don't waste your time waiting for it, okay? To be more productive, work for yourself. You can be a prepper if you want to prep for the worst. If you prep for the worst, then you have a lot of awesome things. You're very self-sufficient. Then you can work for it. Then you can have Bitcoin. Again, most people just want to spend. They get $10, they'll spend $11 on big screen TVs. Just don't be that. You don't need all those fancy schmancy things. You don't get caught up in that paradigm. And then you don't have to worry about it, because that paradigm is going to be able to be maintained for the foreseeable future. Okay, for the foreseeable future, the welfare dollar is going to work because people will just take it. They will love to be slaves as long as they have their big screen TVs and their government checks and working their boring jobs at Target. People are satisfied. And again, if you're a 20%er, you're not satisfied. You're not satisfied with that. I know you're not. And so you have a choice to stick around that, to worry about it, or to make a most of it and get into the Bitcoin overlay with me. All right. So here in Israel, it's awesome. I totally forgotten that it is Christmas time. Obviously, they don't celebrate Christmas here. So it is the 22nd, which means what day is Christmas? Is Christmas on Tuesday? Is it tomorrow, Sunday? Yeah, Christmas is on Tuesday, I guess. Okay, so to you people who do that, that's cool that you do that. I have no problem with it at all. Now, this was sent to me. A friend of mine in Baltimore sent this to me. This deals with the government shutdown too. Santa will still be tracked across the skies on Christmas Eve, even if the government shuts down. The North American Aerospace Defense Command, NORAD, announced Friday it will track Santa's route for the 63rd year whether or not Congress passes a spending bill to avert government shutdown. In the event of a government shutdown, NORAD will continue with its 63-year tradition of NORAD tracking Santa on December 4th. NORAD tracks Santa are supported by approximately 1,500 volunteers who make the program possible each and every year. So, okay, that last part. So, okay, this isn't really NORAD doing it, I guess. I guess it's 15. If it's 1,500 volunteers doing it, I think that's fun. I mean, whatever. People get a kick out of that. I don't. Was this story being brought up just to defend Trump? Like, oh, don't worry, he's not killing Christmas or something. I don't even know what the reason for this story is, to tell you the truth. I think it is. I do think it is ridiculous if the government does spend money every year to play a little game with Santa. That NORAD of all agencies spends money on that. And yes, NORAD will be working during the government shutdown. Okay, there we go. If you want to get that detail out of this little thing also. But again, having Christmas this, in your face, to me is, I don't think the government should be wasting any money, period, on anything. So I think it is a waste of money to, put on a little Santa show or whatever. But if it's volunteers, then fine. But I'm bringing all this up because of an article that's in the Washington Post. So I mean, as a minority in the United States, of a minority religion in the United States, I like this. The Christmas stuff doesn't bother me at all. Everybody's Christian. Everybody is of that. Most everyone in America is of that heritage. So everyone should celebrate Christmas. Everybody should say Merry Christmas to each other. I've got no problems with it at all. People say it to me all the time, and but I'm not going to make a big deal out of it and say, oh, don't say that to me. That offends me. No, I mean, you got to assume if you're in the United States that most people care about this holiday. Most people are celebrating it. Just like if you're a guy and you're hanging out with all your guy friends and stuff, or you met some guys in college and you're getting to know them and everything, and you just assume, you're like, well, man, that girl's pretty hot over there. So you assume that the guy is going to think, he's going to start talking about girls with you because most guys are attracted to girls. 90% of guys are, 95% of guys. I don't know the exact numbers. And then sometimes there's going to be a guy who's not attracted to girls. He's attracted to men. Well, you don't go, if you're talking the talk, you're not going to take that 5% chance. Like, you're not going to say, well, I shouldn't say that because he might not think that. You're going with the flow. You're going with the majority. And that's the same thing in America with the holidays and everything. You're going to assume the person celebrates Christmas. Unless if you know the person's Jewish, you don't say Merry Christmas to them, or maybe you do. I don't know, do what you're going to do. So as a Jewish person and as a Jewish American, whatever you want to say, no, I always enjoy the lights and everything out there. They're very pretty. And Jewish people do talk about the lights. They're like, oh, there's very entertaining lights out there. And it's, what. So we're going to get to an article, but what would you rather want? I mean, some Jewish people want to be victims and they want to complain about it. And we're going to get in. I mean, what would you rather live in a country with pogroms or with them lighting Christmas trees and stuff? I mean, come on, it's ridiculous. It's they're not hurting anybody with their trees and their lights, and saying Merry Christmas doesn't hurt anybody. And so there's a Washington Post article. And Ben Shapiro mentioned this one. Please don't wish me Merry Christmas. Now, Ben Shapiro was against this article also. It's by a Jewish lady who was actually from Russia originally. It's impolite and alienating to assume I follow your religion. No, it's not. It's not impolite and no. You have to assume. I mean, they're not trying to hurt you, lady. Again, it's just like when you say, when a bunch of guys are talking, you assume that the guy is straight that you're talking to. You just assume most guys are straight. You assume. It's and then if the person said, well, I don't like women, you're like, okay, my mistake. You can like what you want to like, dude. Just like if someone says Merry Christmas to you, you're Jewish, and you say, well, I'm Jewish. I don't celebrate Christmas, but I hope you have a good holiday. And then they'll say, okay, that's cool, dude. You do your thing, I'll do my thing. It's not hurting. But no, this woman's got to get into this victim mentality. And that's the thing with America today. It's totally, minority does not equal victim at all. Minority does not automatically, no. Being a minority, you're strong. You should be proud of you. You should be proud of it. You shouldn't go around complaining saying, oh, this is, it's impolite and alienating to assume I follow your religion. That's the victim mentality there. And I don't agree with that. Ben Shapiro was against that also. I give him credit for making me aware of this article. So, I mean, I've got advice to this lady. If she is so, and you can read the whole sickening article, she feels bad when she sees the Christmas stuff or whatever. If she gets that triggered by all this stuff in America, then she should move to Israel and she should have a lot of Jewish children. Okay. That's what she should do. Personal responsibility is the new counterculture, lady. If you don't like all the trees, if you don't like people saying Merry Christmas to you, where where we, the Jews, only make up less than 2% of the population, then move to Israel, where the Jews make up 75% of the population, and have Jewish babies and create more Jews, and then it'll be great. I mean, you could talk a game of victimhood, or you can be strong and move. Or you can just be strong there and just not complain, for God's sakes. We're such a spoiled, wealthy nation that this is what we complain about, that people go around trying to make themselves out to be victim. And no, it's not just Jewish people. Everybody tries to be a victim. Everybody tries to find that little, that's the cool thing to do now. It's so pathetic. It's so pathetic. I never want to be associated with people who are into that kind of thing. Strong hand, baby. That's what it is. It's about, holding on to your Bitcoin, but being a strong person too. That's what these videos are about. You can always do better. You're never stuck. You're not stuck working at Target. No mysterious forces keeping you down. You are strong. You're not a victim. So the one thing I skipped over in all this, because we were talking about government shutdowns, the market ticker, Carl Denninger, explains, there's all this FUD going around, fear, uncertainty, and doubt with the market, with the government shutdown, saying that these people will never be paid. No, everyone always gets paid after the government shutdown. They do get paid. Some people who didn't even work get paid. So some of these people who are useless government workers anyway are not going to go to work, but then they're eventually going to get paid for not going to work. Now, some people will be working without getting paid temporarily. They're going to get paid eventually too. Okay, they can print as many dollars as they want. Remember that. It's the welfare dollar. We live under this system. Everyone has got paid every single time. This government shutdown is a benefit for some people. It's a total benefit. It's a free vacation, and they're gonna get paid. They're gonna get paid eventually. So don't feel for them. They're not victims. No one's a victim here. The taxpayers have to pay for all this. That's a disgrace, but whatever. It's all a big show. Don't get caught up. Don't waste your time worrying about government shutdowns. Don't worry, we're getting to Ruth Bader Ginsburg in a second. Okay, so that Washington Post article was that woman. Speaking about people having babies in Israel, I gotta say, obviously Tel Aviv is a very modern city, a very Western city. Not that many religious people compared to other parts of Israel, Jerusalem, and whatever. And so many. I've never been in a secular-looking city, or in a city where I've seen so many secular-looking women who are pregnant. You're in America, you rarely see secular-looking women pregnant. You'll see all sorts of different religious-looking women of all sorts of minorities and sects that are pregnant. You don't see that many, here, the majority of the people are in Tel Aviv are secular Jewish people, and you see a lot of pregnant, just regular Jewish ladies walking around, and that's good. I think that's very good. There's definitely some family values here. Again, when it turns Shabbat on Friday night, again, most people are secular. They're not out there partying. There's some people drinking, but again, people spend time with their family during the Sabbath, which just ended a few hours ago. And again, it's a secular city. So there is something to this, man. There is definitely something to the family values that are here still in a modern secular city like Tel Aviv. And I think, there's something to be learned from family values, and taking some time to be with your family on these Shabbats. And I'm sure many of these pregnant women have conceived on these very, very Shabbats. All right, pound that like button. I think in a lot of Western countries, United States and Europe especially, to be a modern Western woman, it's like you're like a slave if you become pregnant or something. It's a disgrace to become pregnant and young. And I think that's wrong. I mean, what's wrong with being a married woman and having children? If you're able to raise them and everything in a loving family, I don't see what's so wrong about that. we live in a very interesting society where that's been like vilified. But no, it's if you're like a single woman, oh, that's great. You know, if you're on government assistance, have as many babies as you want. Yeah, that's very good. Raise children with zero parents, basically. That's a great thing. Don't say bad things about kids that are being raised by kids or by zero parents. No, nothing. Don't insult those people and encourage that behavior, but rip upon the behavior of a two-family household where they take some time off during the weekend to do family activities together. That's not good. Anyway, do what you're going to do, people. I get to say what I want to say because I work for myself. And you want to get into that situation too, where you can say things like this. All right, now it's time to talk about Ruth Bader Ginsburg. This is going to be your next mindless distraction to avoid in 2019. And maybe it'll last into 2020, maybe. Who knows? CNBC reports that Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who's 85 years old, reportedly underwent a lung procedure. They removed some cancer from her lungs. And this is not her first time with cancer. Ruth Bader Ginsburg is not going to live past 2019. The article does not say that, but that's what I'm saying, okay? And actually, Market Ticker, I linked to Market Ticker, another article by Market Ticker about the government officials getting paid no matter what, government workers getting paid no matter what. But he also has something about Ruth Bader Ginsburg saying that she will die soon. And she will die soon. She will die soon. She will not, the next presidential election, what is it, November of 2020. She will not be alive at that point. She will not be alive. And so this is going to become, once she dies, this is going to be a tremendous issue that because there's certain people who just put their whole value in the Supreme Court now. I mean, you saw what happened last time. So the long and short of it, she's going to die soon. And Trump will nominate the next Supreme Court justice. And it's going to be that woman, Amy, whatever her name is, a conservative woman. So I'm just putting this all out there now so you can prepare yourself, because this is going to be such a huge, and if she lasts, I don't think she's going to live till 2020. But for some weird reason, if she's still alive during the primaries, the Iowa caucus, what is that? That's until January 2020. I don't know. Who knows how this all could go down, but she is going to die before he's out of office, way long before that. Probably this year, she's going to die this year. And so just be prepared. There's going to be all sorts of nonsense floating around just all over who is taking Ruth Bader Ginsburg's place on the Supreme Court. Don't get distracted by it. Don't waste your time on it. There are going to be so many temptations to be dragged into it. You got to be doing more productive things. Okay. I've just told you what's about to happen. Okay. So, and anyway, so just prepare yourself. And this leads me into something I talked about last week again. And I'll preface this again by saying, if you know and care more about the 2020 Bitcoin halving than the 2020 elections or the Supreme Court nomination that's going to happen very soon, then you're in great shape. But I did forget to say last week that when I was talking about Biden teaming with Beto and Trump maybe being forced to team with what's that woman's name? Nikki Haley, that they would also market this as like, hey, these people could soon be president. We are nominating competent vice presidents who we are grooming to be president. That could be another little gimmick that they do that usually presidents don't do, but we're in a different era now where we're talking about men that are way over 70 years old with younger vice presidents. Now, again, this would be if Trump would be forced to pick a new vice president, and he would be, I think he should be able, he would be wise to pick a new Nikki Haley as his running mate if Biden does run against him and names this Beto O'Rourke his running mate very early on, which it usually isn't done. Watch last Saturday's show if you want more information about that. And the biggest thing I forgot to say last weekend, and again, don't care too much about politics, but we're in the politics section of this one show. If Biden does that unprecedented thing and says before the Iowa caucuses even that Beto O'Rourke is going to be my running mate, then Barack Obama will endorse them. And that will be huge too. And they will win. And that it will be over that quickly. So this would be so unprecedented, because we've heard that Obama's people like O'Rourke, and obviously they like Biden too. He was their vice president. So this could be they could have a whole big setup going. And again, if you actually care about who's president, and you really shouldn't care that much, but if you do care, I'm just laying out a scenario there where the Democrats could set it up in a way where they would be very hard to defeat. Again, it would be Biden before the Iowa caucuses, making a deal with this Beto O'Rourke saying, you will be my vice president, then Obama endorsing them, and then the ball would be in Trump's court. Does he keep the guy from Indiana, Pence, or does he pick a woman as his running mate? If he keeps Pence, he's going to lose. And he'll have a chance if he picks Nikki Haley. But again, dudes, don't have your life riding on who's the next Supreme Court justice, who's the next president of the United States. Be in that Bitcoin overlay where you don't have to worry about these things. But they're topics that come up at parties. So there you go. There you go. All right. Oh yeah. Here, I forgot to talk about this. I didn't even remember. Scott Adams has a video. I linked to it below. He mentions how CNN creates news out of nothing sometimes. I mean, sometimes there is just not mainstream news that's worthy of talking about. There's always, if these mainstream media publications, if they wanted to educate people, there's always interesting stuff they could talk about, okay? But they want very simplistic stories, like emotionally charged, mindless stories to get people clicking, to get people watching. And so sometimes CNN just creates their own, there'll be some little thing that Trump did and they'll just blow it out of proportion just to get, because they know Trump sells. It's so pathetic. And this is just a reminder that anti-sensationalism is the key to life. Avoid that kind of sensationalism. I mean, that's all the CNN is right now, and the mainstream media is all about finding sensationalism in every story that they create. Okay. And lots of times they really create the freaking stories. They're these little teeny stories, and they got to create drama out of them. But again, I recommend going onto YouTube, following 20%er type of channels where you want to learn about space, where you want to learn about the universe, where you want to learn about philosophy, where you want to learn about Bitcoin. There's lots of niche markets out there. There's a lot of trash on YouTube also. Most of it is trash, but if you are a curious person, if you're truly curious, and I think I'm a curious person, I think that's a quality of mine. That's a word that really sums me up. And I think curiosity is something that is awesome. Curiosity is, now don't let it lead you to down insane rabbit holes or anything like that. But always wanting to know more, always wanting to learn and increase your knowledge base. That's a good thing. You don't want simplistic stories spoon-fed to you. You don't want to get stuck in these mainstream paradigms, these mindlessness. You don't want to be dreaming of your next big screen TV to salivate in front of. You want to be a curious person. You want to be a curious person. So I mean, that's my one. That's simplistic advice on one level, but it's you can make a lot out of being a curious person. Think about that sometimes. Am I curious? Or do I just live the same life every single day? Am I just stuck in the same 9-to-5 job where I'm doing the same thing, where I'm not learning anything new, where I'm not expanding my horizons, expanding my mind? All right. And finally, before you bang that bell button to get reminded when we go live, because I do a new show here every single day. And I don't know if anybody else had any questions. But, a lot of you are watching my show live right now. And thank you very much for watching my show live. But did you know, I'm gonna say this, it is more efficient. A lot of you wait around to watch people's shows live, but you can't, if you're watching someone's show live, you can't play it at 2x or 1.5x. So you're wasting, in a sense, if you didn't watch it live and then you played it at 2x, you would save half the time. How long did this show go today? 40 minutes or something ridiculous? You watch this show taped, you watch it 2x. You can still understand me at 2x. I think you can. So there's your little tip of the day. I know some of you like, and today I did say you could ask questions and I would answer them. And there was one question. And that's, I don't see any other questions here. Yeah, Yeah, because nobody else did. You got to do my attention with that orange Bitcoin Meister. Oh, wait. It says Bitcoin Meister has a show every day. My hat off to him for his dedication. Thank you, Jack Schrader. Thank you. That wasn't a question, but that was a very nice comment there. Okay, everyone. Then I'm going to do my sign off. I will say hello to you and the guys in the chat in a second. I'm Adam Meister, the Bitcoin. What, you can't troll then, Adam. Come on now. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think trolling is a complete waste of time. That's a lot of the guys in the chat. All they do is just like shout insults at each other. It's a cesspool, But here's a little inside baseball for you guys. So the This Week in Bitcoin show I do every single Friday. So I have guests on every Friday, and before the show starts, I link to the public chat, and every time I tell them, I'm like, this is a cesspool. They will say the worst things about you. You do not have to look at this, but you can if you want to. You can look at this is the cesspool. Now, I know some of you guys in the chat are good, but so many chats turn into cesspool. They don't pay attention to a word that they're just. I don't know why people want to spend their time cursing at each other and saying vile things. They're not even talking about Bitcoin half the time. Or they're not even talking whatever subject matters I'm talking about, and they're not talking about. But then sometimes people do talk about it. Again, I don't watch things live at all. I watch things to learn from the speakers, and so it's a distraction to be chatting with people at the same time. I love to read the comments afterwards. You learn from the comments also. But everyone gets entertained a different way. Most of my shows are 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Do what you're going to do. Do what you're going to do. But sometimes you'll see, it's funny. I'll read the chat afterwards, and someone will have a question in the chat, and I had answered it during the show. I had talked about that very subject, but they're not paying attention. They're not paying attention. So that's why I make these jokes about listening comprehension. Yeah, most people are pretty bad with listening comprehension. They cannot pay attention. Most people cannot. They have to be distracted. People have been raised in this society of they always have a constant distraction. And their minds are just like that. You got to get away from that, people. You become a much more efficient person, much more successful person if you can pay attention and comprehend immediately. Listening comprehension, reading comprehension. Work on them. All right, I'm Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, this front Meister. Remember to subscribe to this channel, like this video, share this video, check out the link section below. I will say hi to you guys.